Here we go.
Not our fault.
All right, let's do this.
Arnold Investment Consultant brings you this Garage Logic episode. Call Josh at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner.
Here.
Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop.
Nope.
Not here.
Height in the newsroom.
Nope.
Not
and
here.
of course, the rookie.
Oh.
Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Joe
Not here.
Souchere reminding you to please give all privileges of the office of the mayor to today's deputy mayor in Garage Logic.
Tom Hauser.
What a great edit. What a great edit.
Tom, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but on the YouTube video intro, you see the five of us being introduced,
Yes.
and the mayor, the last
I saw
one.
that. Mhm.
There is only one person, though, out of the five that had a wardrobe change for the YouTube intro, and it's the guy sitting to your right.
Really?
Very important. I understand. I understand the industry.
You had a wardrobe change in the intro?
I don't want to be bogged down with one identity. I need to. I have very. I'm fluid, so
Right.
I have got many different roles with this show.
Well, you're a Renaissance man. I mean,
Renaissance Festival man.
He is,
I'd
because
like to go
I
to the
see him
Ren Fest.
here, I hear him here, and then I try to get out of town, and then I see him at the airport.
Yep, you
I
can't
almost,
shake him.
I almost feel
See
like
him
he's
at the airport.
stalking me.
Yes.
I go, well, he knows everywhere I'm going.
That's true.
He knows where
And
I
you were
am.
passenger
Oh,
number 1728.
and I see him in the lunchroom. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, I'm
what,
every,
what
see,
does a
I'm
guy got
everywhere.
to do?
And we have discussed matters before you got here, and you should be, I don't know what the word is, but very fortunate to work with Rookie and I on a day like today, because there's just certain days throughout the calendar year, Rook. Wouldn't you agree that it's usually Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the day before the 4th of July break, and maybe around
My
Christmas
birthday,
Eve, your
December
birthday,
23rd.
where
Nobody works after that.
no one's here and we are checked out.
Yeah, we are calling it in, folks.
Now, I know things are different in GL land, but today's the day before the break. For me, tomorrow is the day before the break. I have to work tomorrow.
I have to work tomorrow too, but I'm just telling my Innovative Handling Solutions boss, Jack Simonet, you're not getting much out of me tomorrow.
About a B minus effort out of you.
Yeah, not even that. I'm going average. I'm going C. You're going to
D's
get a
get
C
degrees.
out of me. I might not even tell them that we're not doing a podcast, so I leave for a couple hours and then come back.
We'll be recording at issue a little earlier because hard to line up guests on the 4th of July.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget a boss that will go nameless was trying to find best of hosts. Remember this, Rook? During the 4th, and we were thinking, who is going to come in and work on the 4th of July?
Whatever.
I'm not going to be
Whatever
here. Rook ain't going
host.
to be here.
Whatever host you could find scraping the bottom of the barrel, a best of is going to be 10 times better than,
Hey, how about the calls there? 646-8255.
And we're not including you, by the way, Tom, because
No, I'm
we
just
love
going to
having
say,
you.
does that include me?
you're middle of the barrel. You're
I
not-
don't remember his
Middle
name.
of the barrel. Good place to be.
Rook will remember his name, but there was a guy, and God bless him. He came in, he wanted to do it. He had a stack of material, and he pounded through that pile in the first segment. And we thought, bro, slow down. Like
Yeah,
we
hang
got 3 hours to fill
Who
here.
was that? I remember
I
the
can't
stack
remember
of
who it
papers.
was.
Was this on radio?
This was back in
Yeah.
the radio days, yes. But I thought, bro, you got to slow down here.
Take it down a little level here. We need to discuss some things. It's not just you're giving us information. There needs to be
And
some
it was
discussion.
reciting every paragraph. We're like, okay, I guess we'll just sit here. But you could tell he was nervous.
He was not a trained radio professional.
No.
Well, I still remember the first time I ever filled in on the radio side was for Jason Lewis.
Okay.
And I wondered, how do you fill that many? I
3
forget, was he
hours?
on 3 hours?
He was
I think
5
on
to
3.
8, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, I don't know how this is going to work if no one calls in or
Sure.
if you don't have a guest or whatever. I still have the recording of it. I haven't listened to it.
On a
I don't think
cassette?
since that day. It's on a cassette.
Yeah, of course it is. When you play it back, it's wow.
Because that would have been mid to late 90s. Does that sound right?
Yep.
I've never gone back and listened to it. So I should, because I have no idea what we would have been talking about.
Well, I think at some point you steal a page from Saturday Night Live and Buck Henry dead, mangled puppies. Call me now. I think that was one of his. He was doing a financial show and nobody would call.
Or you could do what Mishke did when he filled in for Joe the one time and said, what did he say, Rook? Wasn't he said, sure is a shame to hear about old Joe.
Oh, yeah, he killed him off. He killed him off. Or he didn't kill him off. It was like bad news that he was, had 6 months to live or something like that. And Joe did not take that too well.
No, I can
And
imagine.
of course, the listeners were, why did we know? Why don't we
Phone
know?
lines explode.
Why is Mishke telling us this?
Nobody likes uncomfortable foreshadowing, even if it's a joke.
Yes, exactly. Joe doesn't like that karma crap. She's
No,
like, what's he doing?
I'm not a big fan of the karma either. Now, one interesting thing I noticed in the intro, Joe says, I should say the mayor says, this is an episode. And I always wondered, when we talk about episodes of At Issue,
Sure.
is this technically an episode? Ooh. Is it episodic? Because I looked it up. I took the
little homework.
I did a little
I
homework.
do love that you looked for the two of us for an answer.
An
Yeah,
episode,
I've not looked up anything today, Tom.
You tell me if this fits into the definition,
right.
especially based on what we just talked about. An episode is a distinct, self-contained part of a larger narrative, such as a television series, a novel, or a historical event. It can also refer to a single, often significant event or period within a person's life or a series of events. So I've always thought of episodes as something that has a beginning and a middle and an end,
Right.
and that's an episode. Now, technically, this show has a beginning.
Yeah.
I think now we're kind of in the middle,
Right.
Early middle,
Almost done.
and hopefully, painfully, it will come to an end at some point.
Yes.
But is this technically an episode? I guess.
I don't think it's an official count in the episode because the mayor counts his episodes as far as if he's in it, it's an episode.
Then it counts.
If you're in it, it's more of a, what was the last
Thanks
one?
for joining us.
1526B.
Right.
B.
Well, here are some, in context, television/radio.
Sure.
We're kind of a hybrid of that because we're both
Well,
video.
and because it's now a podcast, I would think categorically it would be by definition an episode,
Well,
right?
it says here an episode is one part of a serialized show like a TV series or a radio drama. Each episode typically has its own storyline, maybe so, maybe not, or a portion of the larger plot. Is there a plot to this show?
Common sense is the plot.
Sure.
I think.
Okay.
And the
Bringing
theme,
common
yeah,
sense
I
to the
suppose.
people. And you do, other than your liberal slant, you do bring a We'll get to that later, folks. We'll get to that later. Okay.
We're going to get to that
yes,
sooner.
yes.
You know what? I can answer it this way. I think it does, Tom, and here's why. We've noticed, us behind the scenes with all the metrics, but we've noticed that the listening habits of the people that do consume GL are way different in podcast form than radio form, where, obviously
Right.
many people were tuning in to the legendary AM 1500, where now you can tell people are either on a long road trip or whatever, they're consuming it way differently than they did before. Almost like it is a Netflix series where they'll listen to an entire week's worth of shows, if you're driving to Sioux Falls and back or whatever, right? I think the show is consumed way differently than it was as a radio show for obvious reasons.
And can you tell, I know you're not getting home addresses of your listeners, but you probably get more granular detail
yes.
than you did in radio.
Oh, yeah.
Where you get, here's how many people were listening in Hennepin County or Ramsey County.
100%.
or
And you
wherever.
can also gain, because now that we've got a pretty decent and prominent YouTube channel, you can even tell when the listenership just drops off, whether it's a subject matter or mostly it's what we used to refer to as TSL, time spent listening. And now
Like
it's,
it did when the show started.
And like you'll be able to see the metrics, like today's show,
Drop
when it
off,
started,
yeah.
it dropped
Drop
off
Oh, boy.
immediately.
Well, and
when
don't
he
take this the
mentioned
wrong
Deputy
way.
Mayor.
We know that when Joe's not here, no one wants to listen to me and Rook, right? No one's tuning in to hear us be idiots. But I'm just saying it's so. Yes, obviously when Joe is not here, it's Joe's show.
But the beauty of a podcast is those people that normally would be in their cubicle listening live right now are probably not at work. So they'll come back and listen to the podcast at a different time or when they're driving in their car.
I'm cutting my grass, and I got my Bluetooth in.
So
or whatever.
you have to factor that in, especially on a Wednesday before a holiday.
So it begs the question why the two of you, since you say nobody wants to just listen to the two of you, why you would bring in a pretentious DFL shill.
Yeah, I don't know
who
why.
is the male version of Esme Murphy. Why would you do that?
You snuck through the gates. I'm not sure how. The detector must have been off.
We had our DFL ordering talking points. That's why you're sitting in that chair today.
It's like what is the DoorDash? DFL DoorDash.
Yes, there
we ordered a DFL.
But don't you take that almost as a badge of honor when you get ripped from both sides of the political aisle?
And for those people, which would be everyone except for at Ned the Moose MN, know what we're talking about. He wrote in when I filled in on Monday, huge GL guy, but that shameless, pretentious DFL chill, the male version of Esme Murphy, should never be near the GL mic. Am I close enough to the GL mic? No,
Yes, I think so.
Is this too close?
It's too
to the
late.
mic
I wonder,
for
honestly,
Ned the Moose?
I wonder if he's a new listener because Rook, help me. You've obviously been here way longer than me.
I don't recognize
Has
the name.
anyone filled in for Joe more than Tom?
No.
I was going to say I don't.
Especially in recent years, you've been probably our most requested fill-in host.
Well, and I don't, I'm pretentious, but DFL
I know
shill,
that.
come on.
Well, I'm trying to think because seriously, and I gave you a shot earlier on Monday about Kessler, but you and Pat Kessler, I don't know your politics. It's like Johnny Carson. Never knew what Johnny Carson's politics were on the Tonight Show. Now you know who's doing what on those shows, etc. But I do think you do a really good job of you got Erlinson on, you got Annette Meeks on, you got the senators. Her name escapes me. She's always
Ember
on.
Reichgott. She's been on since day one of that issue.
And I think,
but they're DFLers or Republicans. On that issue that we're recording tomorrow, we have I think it'll be the first joint interview between the Republican Party chair and the DFL Party chair to talk about the political landscape after the tragic shootings recently, the budget bill that is making its way through Congress, and the elections coming up next year. We don't shill for anyone. And whenever I see things like that, it's always coming from the prism of, not prison, although I get some of those too,
Yes, yeah.
but it's the prism of the person's own political beliefs. The fact that I even give Governor Walz any airtime makes me a shill. If I interview Amy Klobuchar or Tina Smith. And what people don't understand, they go, why are you always talking to Democrats? And we do talk to Democrats and Republicans, but every statewide office holder in Minnesota right now is a Democrat.
He's a Democrat. Yeah.
They have all of the levers of power other than now in the tied Minnesota House. So now you have Lisa Demuth, who is the House Speaker, but still shares power with Democrats. That is just the reality. That's what we have to cover. And if people want us to ignore the party that controls everything in Minnesota, that would be irresponsible. It would be idiotic. It's, if you want to elect Republicans, quit complaining about the media and elect Republicans.
Right.
It's, get a good candidate who can beat Tim Walz, get a good candidate who can beat Amy Klobuchar or win the open seat for Tina Smith's U.S. Senate seat. It is there for the taking. It's not the media's fault. It's up to the voters to do something about that.
Well, and not to mention the fact that if Governor Walz is in office or Governor Arnie Carlson, it's important for any news, 45911, what is he saying? What is she saying? What's the current? You got to talk to them and give this soundbite so you know what the current status is, regardless of whether Moosehead likes it or not. And if he doesn't like it, that'll give more fuel for the fire saying, I can't stand Walz. I mean, that's...
he is anonymous. Only he knows who he is.
Right.
But it's at Ned the Moose. Let's at least get him right. No,
Okay, yes,
not
I'm
Ned
sorry.
the Moose.
Don't besmirch his name, rookie.
That's just
Moosey.
insulting to call him
No
Ned the
disrespect,
Moosehead.
Moosey.
You don't know that he has a moose head. You have no idea. You know nothing about this. We don't even know it's a man. We just
That's true.
Because it's a fake name, so it could be anybody. It could have been one of you two.
It might have been.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good
I
point.
can't
have
even-
fun with that.
Our cover's blown.
And by the way, not anonymity on social media is what has ruined social media.
For sure.
I've said that before
100%.
on this program, and I'll say it again. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about holding people accountable. We're going to talk a little bit about a story, and I will give credit to Elfin News, who broke the story about a guy working for the Department of Education who somehow passed a background check, even though a very remarkably bad criminal history. And I'm working on that story today, and we'll talk about it after a break.
Let's talk about North American Banking Company. They have one simple philosophy at North American Banking Company, and that is this. It's banking done differently. And you get that feeling anytime that you walk in any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations, whether it's Roseville and 50th in France, which is the home of yours truly. But I also made the trip down to Hastings last week, and it's a beautiful location. So was Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. North American Banking Company offers all of the services as the other big national banks. Whether you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been dreaming about, their experts can help you out and make those dreams possible. And they also offer all of the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but the key difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And they are locally owned and operated, and that means that loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps you business owners solve problems quickly and expand your business with confidence. So check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
I was 17, my old man was 55. If you do the math between the two of us, that's 72 years of life. An eternity, so it seemed to me. How could anything live that long? Now I say my folks were only 84 the year that they passed on. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be. And my grandpa Roy, when he was a boy in 1904, he was taught by men who fought in the actual Civil War. And only 8 decades passed, and my high school class put the tassels on the other side. Started on our way full of naivete on the great American ride. The months and years slide past, each more quickly than the last. Pretty soon you look around.
Did I get your attention?
Yes.
I got Tom's attention.
Yes, it did.
That's what you're going to hear at 4th of July, and you need to know what type of pyrotechnique thing. What do you call it?
Pyrotechnics.
That's what you need to know. It's a big word for me. Fireworks Forever can help you, and they will break it down for you. But the type of boom you're looking for, that is key. If you want more booms for less bucks, then you go to Fireworks Forever. Your time is running out, though. Online at fireworksforever.com, you can see a list of all of their products. You can see a price of all of their products. They're in St. Croix Falls, and they're in Somerset. Very knowledgeable staff. It's very key to say it's veteran-founded in 1891. Yes, Jason's dad was a veteran. In 1981, he started this. And the mission is to promote, preserve. They want to promote smart fireworks. You should be knowledgeable so you know what you're getting. And that's where you go online. Also, I forgot about this. The QR code. They have every product is a QR code that describes what it does in a short video that shows you what it does. So there's no surprises for the grandkids, for the neighbors, for all those mooches on the lake that are watching your fireworks display. That's okay. Give them a good treat and go to fireworksforever.com. Visit them. They handpick and import all of their fireworks. There's no middleman. That means low prices for you. Again, more booms for less $8. The locations, less than 5 minutes from the Minnesota border, open year-round, Somerset, St. Croix Falls, and a huge selection, over 400 products in stores. I can't stress it enough. They came on Garage Logic and said, we know GLers like fireworks, and if you're going to go to Wisconsin to get them, then those are two very close places. And you got a couple of days to do it. Let them know that you heard it from the Rookie on the Garage Logic podcast. Don't make a trip to Paul's Prothesis Palace. Do it the right way. Get your fireworks from fireworksforever.com. Tommy?
Look at how clean that store. You could eat off the floor in there.
You really could.
We do
It's
not recommend
fantastic.
it, however.
No,
Yeah, don't do that.
Now that I've planted the idea with Rookie,
Go to a Culver's next door
Yeah.
or something like that, and you'll be fine.
don't.
Yes.
I don't think you want to eat off the floor at a Culver's.
No.
I just
they're clean, but just no, thanks.
But no, that store looked very, very clean. Speaking of fireworks, I guess that's a transition.
That's a segue right there.
We're working on this story that, as I mentioned earlier, was first reported by Elfin News. We're trying to figure out how a man named Wilson Tindy got a job with the Department of Education, where he was. We don't know that he's there anymore because we're having trouble getting any kind of comment from the Department of Education. He was, at one point, auditing taxpayer spending and overseeing internal accountability, whatever that means. So somebody needs to be held to account for how he got the job, because according to criminal records, back in 2016, he was convicted of fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct after breaking into a woman's home and assaulting her in bed where she was sleeping. And obviously for any job, I believe even here, don't we all go through background checks when we get hired?
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, especially down on the TV side, if you're going to drive a vehicle, they want to know
Yeah,
your
they're
driving record and your...
Especially at the airport to get your CITA badge. Holy
Oh,
buckets.
I imagine
Holy
you go
man.
through a pretty invasive
Yes.
background
It
check.
is.
No
Painful.
cavity searches.
Not
right?
yet.
Not yet.
I'm on the straight and narrow, so anyway.
So anyway, we're trying to find out who conducted the background check. Was there a background check conducted? And just what the story is there. And we hope to have some answers on 5 Eyewitness News later tonight. But right now we do not have those answers.
What was his job?
He was auditing.
Yeah, he was.
He was the taxpayer spending and
Okay.
overseeing internal accountability.
Okay.
Now, the Department of Education already kind of been in the crosshairs over
Right.
feeding our future because they were kind of, as we know now, nominally overseeing how that money was being spent. So we're trying to get some answers here. And we do not know how he got this job and whether there was a background check. I have reached out to the Department of Public Safety, who then sent my request over to the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, who they believe is the agency that actually does these background checks. And I don't have the answers yet, but we're working on them.
They're not going to hide behind data privacy.
You should not in a case like this.
Can
Okay.
I throw one? Because you know what I like to do on this show is just throw something against the wall and see if it sticks. Because I'm not a respected journalist, you are. But honestly, when I first saw this story
Not
yesterday,
according to Ned the Moosehead.
that's right. But when I first saw this story yesterday, the first thing that came to mind was this strikes me as such a DEI hire. We've got to check the box. We've got someone from Kenya who's going to come here, work for the Department of Education. You know, don't worry about the background check. Let's just worry about getting somebody in that checks a particular box. That's at least what it strikes me as.
But he had already been in the deportation process. They were trying to
before
deport
he
him.
got hired?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, back when he was convicted of this. And then the thing languished for so long. Finally, he apparently said, his lawyers said, this has dragged on too long. A federal judge agreed, and then they dismissed it or took him out of the deportation
Mode?
silo or mode or whatever he was in. And so it has kind of languished since then. So again,
This should infuriate every single taxpayer in the state of Minnesota. The
Yes.
fact that this guy was on the government dime, which is our money,
yes.
and the fact that he was hired post-process, And again, I'm not ripping Channel 5. I'm not ripping anybody. But what if Alpha News hadn't reported on this?
Yeah, well,
would this have come to light?
Something like this always comes. It depends on who gets a tip. We get tips about things all the time.
Okay.
Hey, you should look into this guy. It's not like they were out there,
pounding the pavement,
going through.
Okay.
Somebody went to them and said,
"You might
should
want to look at
into
this guy."
We get tips like this all the time. In this case, they got the tip, and so now we're looking into it. It's certainly a worthwhile story to see if everything they've reported has been true. And the fact that I'm getting stonewalled at every turn leads me to believe there's something
there.
Otherwise, somebody would get back to you and say, yeah, they got their facts wrong.
Right. By the way, if you have a tip, it's 612-5TV News.
Yes.
Thank you. Many years as a news dispatcher.
Or T. Hauser at KSTP.com.
Yeah, okay, that's even better.
You can also email
He'll filter that out for you.
Okay, so then this was obviously a tip like you mentioned. Then what else is going on that we don't know about that isn't being tipped off? Because again, that's where I go mentally.
And again, immediately, because of the slant that Alpha News does have, everybody is saying, because we've been getting emails in the newsroom about this, this is typical of Tim Walz. In any bureaucracy, there are thousands and thousands of people being hired. It's kind of like the Vance Belter guy. People trying to make him out to be an advisor to Governor Walz, who, to my knowledge, never met the man.
Right.
Because he was appointed by Governor Dayton to a workforce development board, which is one of these hundreds of little quasi-governmental volunteer entities that study various things.
A governor would just sign, yep, you got it, okay, that's fine.
Somebody vouches for him, sure. You're not paid. You have meetings sporadically. Some of these boards, I got to be honest with you, are kind of feel good. Oh, yeah, we got somebody working on workforce development issues. They'll issue a report that we can all ignore, and then we'll go on and do whatever we think is right.
But let me ask you this, though, Tom, but not to consistently be the devil's advocate here, but with as much government-related corruption that we've seen in this state, whether it's food fraud, Medicaid fraud, with everything else, is it really hard to blame people that are that frustrated with stories like this that just keep happening? Because I find myself getting angrier and angrier that this stuff keeps happening in my state. I've lived here my entire life.
I've got to learn more about how it happened. I mean, did he somehow use some kind of a fake identification when he got the job that would have helped him, circumnavigate the criminal background process? Or did someone drop the ball and never did a criminal background? I mean, it's hard to criticize until we know more. But clearly, if these things are true, this person should not be getting paid with taxpayer dollars.
And shouldn't be here, right?
Yes,
and should not even be here in the first place. This person was supposed to be sent back to Kenya.
So anyway, it's one of those things where generally when you start getting stonewalled at every turn, and I'm going to check my phone now and see if anybody
is that where there's smoke, there's got to be fire. Then is that what you're concluding?
Yes, and if they don't want to, and so I do have the criminal. I'm not going to read the whole criminal narrative, but I do have the document in front of me, the statement of probable cause from back in, what's the date on this?
Wasn't it 2017?
2016.
16,
well,
sorry.
No, the offense date was on or about November 23rd of 14.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I think 16 is when the conviction, you know how the wheels of justice grind fairly slowly. So we'll be looking into how did someone miss this?
It's a big miss.
Because as you know, if I wanted to, blow $20, I could spend $10 on looking up rookie's background and then go over to Mr. Reavers and I could know whatever I need to know.
And that'd be the last time you talk to me, probably.
Well, probably.
Right. Yeah.
But it's pretty easy to do. So the question is, who dropped the ball?
Yeah.
Did someone drop the ball? We hope to have some answers tonight. We'll find out. We're going to take a break.
Let's talk about Haferman Water. Speaking of dropping the ball, don't drop the ball right now. This time of the year is a great time to upgrade the quality of your water inside of your home.
Don't drop the bottle of water.
I should have gone with that. Dang it, that's a much better segue.
You got to consult me.
612 895-2440. That's the phone number to call Haferman Water directly, or you can also visit their website, which is, of course, hafermanwater.com. Either way, you can book your appointment to get on that schedule and have them come out for that free water analysis. And when they come out for that free water analysis, they're going to give you this thing that's called a water score. And then based upon that water score, they're going to offer upgrades in ways that they can improve the quality of your water. And I got to tell you, back when I did this, oh boy, almost 8 years ago now, maybe 9 years ago, my water score was so bad, and I went through 2 different dishwashers. That's how hard of water I had at my previous home. And I'm so glad that I decided to make the switch to Haferman Water and Connecticut, because it's made an amazing difference in the quality of my water. And I know that it will do the same thing for you too. So it doesn't matter. Maybe you're in the mood for a brand new water softener, or maybe a brand new drinking water system. Either way, they're going to do the trick with Haferman Water and Connecticut. So once again, give them a call today at 612-895-2440 or visit HoffermanWater.com. Haferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Please do me a favor and mention that you heard about them right here on the Garage Logic Podcast.
Let me tell you, Pilgrim, it's time to go out west. Isn't that a great John Wayne impersonation?
Not bad.
All right, it's the rookie. EscapeWithUsVacations.com. The travel agency is run by my 2 sisters who have decades and decades of experience in the travel industry.
Are you calling them old?
I'm calling them seasoned. Seasoned. They will. They can help you. In fact, they can help you. I'm going to talk about the Tombstone trip in a minute here. They can help complete families plan a trip to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, wherever you want to go. The host of the show took me up on recommending them, and they had a wonderful family vacation. Maybe it's just a couple. Maybe it's just a family. Maybe it's the entire family. Escape With Us Vacations can accommodate all. So if you're looking for, I don't care whether you're going to Arizona or whether you're going to Croatia, they can plan anything, river cruises, European vacations, Caribbean islands with kids, grandkids, etc. But I want you to know that we're going to have a blast when we head to the West's most iconic cowboy town, Tombstone, Arizona, the Tombstone Monument Ranch and Cattle Company, historic dude ranch, and we have the run of the place. This quaint replica of the actual town of Tombstone is a historic dude ranch. It's a working cattle ranch. They got everything. Plenty of stuff to do. They got archery. They've got shooting. Stay in the marshal's office, the Grand Hotel, the courthouse. Everything kind of has a theme there. Or the saloon. How about playing a little Texas Hold'em against me? You can do that. 4-night package includes round trip on Sun Country Air, motor coach, airport transportation, 4 nights accommodation, breakfast, lunch, and dinner daily, and 4 ranch activities along with nightly entertainment. The suites look great. How do you get a little sneak peek? You go to escapewithusvacations.com to make your reservation. And this is going to be in September of this year. And you better get things fast because they're going to run out sometime soon. I will say, Croatia next year, yep, it's 2026. We're going to have another blast up on down the Adriatic Sea. But right now, go to escapewithusvacations.com, or if you want to talk to Teresa or Maria directly, just go ahead and give them a call. Their telephone number is 651-788-4338. 651-788-4338. No funny body noises included. All you have to do is call them, and they'll set you up. EscapeWithUsVacations.com.
And this portion of Garage Logic, which would normally be John Haidt's newscast, is brought to us by North American Banking Company.
Oh, thanks,
Tom
Bilski.
Hauser.
What does this say about John Haidt's work ethic that he's not here?
Oh.
Tom Hauser, you're the best reporter there is in the Twin Cities. I second that. Like when he is on, I like when he is on. He's a straight up guy.
Wow, how about that?
Are those the YouTube comments?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Take that, Ned the
There you
Moose
go, Ned the Moosehead, or whatever your name is.
We love Ned the Moosehead.
Yes,
don't get
we
me
love
wrong.
feedback.
I remember talking.
I don't mind feedback.
I remember talking to Elizabeth Reese years ago because she would join Mike Fredoloni and I on the beer show when we used to do the beer show on AM 1500. And she would join us on occasion, and she would share some of the emails she would get about the outfits she would wear on TV. And I'm thinking, that's something we've never had to deal with.
I've never been ripped
Even
for my
with YouTube,
outfit.
you don't.
Well, no, like we will rip each other, but that's what we do. We're all brothers. But it's like, you're going to rip somebody for what shirt they wore at a.
No, she gets shamed quite a bit.
And I'll
it's
tell you,
really
the standard that there men and women on TV. This will not come as a shock to either one of you. Are held to such different standards. I love, and I wish I could remember where this guy did this. Sometime in the last couple of years, a TV news anchor somewhere wore the same sport coat every single day for a year on the air.
Oh, wow.
And no one said a
Nobody
word.
said a thing.
He wore the same thing every single day. I think he might have switched up his tie and shirt, but it was the same blazer every day. Nobody ever said a word. If a woman did that, if a woman tried to wear the same
Tarred
blazer
and feathered
every day or the same blouse or whatever, that would go on by day 3 at a minimum or a maximum. She'd be called out for it.
And on Instagram and on TikTok and on everything.
I got a news idea. How about in the summer months, we kind of go cash. Like we used to joke about having summer hours here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do like basketball shorts and tight T-shirts for whatever for a newscast in the summer months, huh?
Paul
Would that go over
Majors,
well?
when I was at Care 11 as an intern, he wore shorts. It wasn't even jeans or whatever. He wore
like
shorts.
Timberwolves basketball
he had everything,
shorts.
and he'd come into the sports department and he'd drop a deal and then head out of there. Oh, he was so bad. He was so bad. He would just drop one and then get out of there quick. And we'd like, oh my God, Majors, you smell.
That was the best part of when Joe went into the Pavic Hall of Fame because it was Joe, Johnny Hines, Paul Majors, and I'm missing somebody else. But that crew, it was great because all they did was sat and ripped each other.
Give each other crap.
It was so much fun. It was.
I bet. Well, years ago when I worked in Fort Myers, Florida, some of your listeners may be familiar with Wink TV.
Oh, yeah. Wink,
one of the greatest collection of call letters ever. Wink TV, and they had the CBS eye that would wink at you. It was awesome. But when I worked down there, 86 to 88, I anchored the weekend news, and I would come right off the golf course, and I would come into work, in my golf attire, and the only thing I would change would be I'd put on a shirt and tie and a suit jacket.
The same coat you
but
wear
I had my shorts and shoes on.
Yes.
And that's how I did the weekend news. It's a lot looser because on weekends, you don't have other people visiting the building.
Right.
You don't have
management.
Yeah, you don't have advertisers and sponsors maybe coming through the building, kicking the tires, making sure. And so on weekends, there's like you said, there's no management there.
Hauser's doing the weekend without any pants on. I don't know about that.
Again.
It says the Munsingwear rep.
And so I understand that, because really but now so much of the news is done where you're standing in front of a key wall. You can't get away with that as much.
Right.
Because now they got us moving all over. You'll be on an interview set. Might look awkward if you're in a coat and tie and shorts and flip-flops, because that's going to be called out immediately.
Credibility might be a little.
Ever since COVID, well, like today, I'm wearing jeans with my shirt and tie and my suit. That has been something that started during COVID, because I was one of the few people coming into work every single day. We had a lot of people working from home, but I was coming in. the one concession I made was, I'm going to put some jeans on because I'm not going to see anybody. I'm interviewing everybody via Zoom,
Right.
or with a pogo stick and a microphone on the end. So didn't really matter what I was wearing. But on Fridays when I do At Issue, I'm on a set for half the show where you can see my legs and
I appreciate
feet.
putting
So I
sports
put
slacks
pants on.
Yeah.
I put pants on.
That's good.
I think the statute of limitations has run out in my 17 years now here at Hubbard Broadcasting. This would go back 10, maybe 12 years ago.
The no pants broadcast.
No,
There
but
it is.
it's better than that.
True confessions.
So we were coming back from the state fair on the 10:30 shuttle. Before I had kids, I used to like to hang out
I'm
at the fair.
surprised you could find it, but go ahead.
But I remember there was an intern with one of the radio stations. I don't remember which one because I didn't know her at all. And she needed to use the restroom. And she was, because this building is a little confusing if you don't work here a long time.
A little confusing?
Right.
Yeah.
Tom Hauser still can't find the podcast studio.
There are guests from At Issue who are still wandering the halls from 2011.
He told me to be down here at 11.
We've never seen them. We've never seen them.
But someone told this intern, because she needed to use the restroom, and they said, okay, walk through here, take a left, and it's the second door or whatever. And she walked into the TV studio.
Oh.
Like it couldn't have been news because I think the news would have been going on at the fair at that time.
Till 11,
well,
though.
some years we've done all the news from here, especially at 10 o'clock.
But she quite literally walked onto the set and almost got into the camera view. And again, I don't remember which station she worked for, and I felt so bad for her because she
started
running
squatting
out.
down because she had to go.
I just thought,
It's a nice bathroom.
Here she is, some the 20-some-year-old just like trying to make a mark with the big station at Hubbard Broadcasting, and she walks right onto the television set post state fair. It was very, very funny, and
It's all the male and female attendants. Wow, this is
great.
Highbrow.
I do like the late shuttle, though. If you can get on that last shuttle back to the station after you're off the air and you have time for
What if
to see the sights and maybe have a Coke.
Yes.
or a
What if it's
Dr.
the
Pepper.
last state fair last year, and you're with your family, and you go, okay, we got her, and you're waiting for the 11 o'clock shuttle because you just missed the 10:30, so you're sitting there. It's 5 to 11. It's 11. There's no shuttle, and then you check your email of when the thing came out, and I had to deliver the news that the last one was at 10:30. So I didn't
How
score
was
a
that
lot of
Uber
points.
ride?
I didn't score. It was an Uber ride, and I did not score points at all.
Did you have to get the big Uber? How many people did you have with you?
It was only 4 of us, so
Okay.
I didn't have. It wasn't like torches and pitchforks. It was just a verbal beatdown. Anyway,
for people who don't know, Hubbard very generously provides a shuttle so we can all get. Now we're doing shows from out there, so you can take the shuttle that way. You don't have to park. And they're leaving, what is it, every 15 minutes from
Yes,
the
to and
station
from.
Yep.
or the
It's
state
an
fair.
absolute godsend because
It absolutely
Well,
is.
we all know people that work for other stations here in town and other TV stations here in town. They do what for you guys? Yeah. Every half hour, you got 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, and then and then the quarter
fantastic.
hours back. Otherwise, I don't know how other people do that. I don't know
no
how they do
traffic.
it.
They use the transit ways, so there's no.
Yes, and we have the benefit of being the closest TV station to the state fair. So, and they have that transit way where only buses can go on it, so it's very seamless.
Yes.
But it costs them a lot of money, I'm sure.
How long
to
has
provide that.
Channel 5 had that building?
Oh,
The 5 building?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
At the
that's-
state fair, decades and decades and decades.
Like one of the original buildings, most likely?
Yeah, well,
Maybe not original,
We've
but
been
once
we've been on the air since I should know this because I just did the 75th anniversary stories, the 1940s. So 1948, I think it was.
my guess is though, but for them to broadcast from there probably would have been early 60s. Do you think?
It could have been earlier than that. Could have been the
Griff,
50s.
we need to talk to Glenn Griffin.
Yeah.
Glenn Griffin would
He
know.
would know.
He would know.
It could have been in the 50s, but certainly by the 60s.
Yes.
And in that same building, same location, over by the grandstand and the Midway, and it's a great location. One other thing,
Sure, yeah.
we have one more segment coming up, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We'll talk about the big beautiful bill.
This is the super tease.
Yes, that has now gone to the U.S. House, and there is a conga line of conservatives going to the Trump White House where he's trying to twist their arms because there's a lot of conservatives in the House not happy with how much more it's going to add potentially to the national debt after the Senate got done with it. And so now you got the Freedom Caucus crying foul. And so they're debating that. The goal is to get this to the president's desk by the 4th of July. I'll believe that when I see it. Could happen. He has magical powers. I think we all know
He
that.
does. Persuasive.
Magical persuasive powers, I should say. We'll take a break. We'll talk about that one.
You know what all this spending makes me think? We are nuts.
Yeah.
You see that?
I got it. It's crazy.
And wearenutsmn.com. I actually walked into Fratelloni's yesterday after I got done with the show because I had to pick up a few things. These end caps that they have are really cool. Guess what Mike
I haven't
told
seen
me?
them. I got to check them out.
Thanks to all of you GLers and you Weekly Scramble listeners, the sales for We Are Nuts are up 900% at the stores.
That's what happens when you advertise folks on the Garage Logic podcast.
They're killing it right now. And why wouldn't they be? Because that's the best snack that you can have right now. It's locally made, it's insanely fresh, and it's packed with flavor. And their premium nuts and mixed snacks are perfect for this time of the year. I've got kids going to and from every single ballpark in the state of Minnesota. What do? Buddy, take some toffee peanuts with you. It'll hold you over till we get home.
Yep.
They're the best. The original toffee peanuts are great. And so is the ultimate sampler. If you go to wearenutsmn.com, you can get the sampler pack and pick any one of the 4 flavors that you want to choose from. I've been touting this. The maple bourbon toffee almonds are fantastic, but the honey mustard mix is also really, really good. So you can't go wrong. They've got wonderful, wonderful flavors of snacks, and it's handmade right here in the great state of Minnesota in small batches. They are the best, and we're so happy to have them on board here. We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. Please do me a favor, and when you place your order at wearenutsmn.com, please mention that you heard about them here on the Garage Logic podcast. quick shout out to my buddies at Harmony Spirits. I forgot to mention this during their ad yesterday, but it's a big week down there in Harmony, Minnesota. And Larry sent me a text this morning saying, "Hey, Chris, hope you're preparing for a good 4th of July. Harmony Spirits is preparing for the 4th car show. It's the 4th in Harmony's town celebration as well. So I got to tell you, if you were going to make the trip down, and I think I'm going to make the trip down to Harmony over the next couple of days because it sounds like such a festive time down there. But as I mentioned yesterday, stop in at the tasting room, try out the slushy machine, try out everything. And please stop in, say hi to Larry and Damon and the entire crew and let them know that you heard about Harmony Spirits right here on the Garage Logic podcast, Mr. Hauser.
Is my microphone on? Is
It
this thing
is.
working?
Is.
Is this
Yes.
thing working?
Yes. It is.
It's fun to watch you hard at work while you're trying to kind of multitask.
Like
at
do
the
your
same
real
time.
job, like you're just fun filling in for us, but you're still trying to do your real job.
Well, because, the thing about TV news is that the deadlines are relentless. And, I remember the way, way olden days. I started in this business in 1983, which
Yep.
is kind of hard to believe,
Yikes.
given my youthfulness.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
You're still in better shape than both of us. I got news for you.
Back then,
I can run to the cafeteria.
there was a time when it was just a 6 and 10 o'clock news.
Yep.
My first job, and then they started adding the 5 o'clocks. So then it was 5, 6, and 10, still pretty manageable. Then it became let's throw in a 4:30. So then you got 4:30, 5, and 6.
This is all
and then
revenue
10.
based too, I would imagine.
As long as those are working out so well, let's add a 6:30. Good idea. And then, hey, and how about 9? Nobody's doing anything at
Right, before
9.
they go to bed, before they watch the news, they need to be informed.
So now there's a 4:30, a 5, a 6, a 6:30,
That's the consultant.
A 9,
That's the
and a
consultant.
10. No, that's the sales department.
okay,
the
okay,
revenue,
got it.
The revenue generate. Well, you have the commodity we have is airtime.
Right.
So we're trying to, monetize that commodity, and that is time. And now the fact that we're Channel 5 and 45, that's where the 9 o'clock newscast comes in, because you're not going to cover up an hour of network prime time.
Right.
But then the morning show, I used to anchor the morning show years ago, and back then I thought it was onerous when it was 5, 6, 6:30, and then it would be done at 7. Then they moved it up to 4:30, and I think that's when it started. It may have even gone up to 4. Some stations do 4 a.m., which who's up at 4 a.m.?
Nobody's up at 4 a.m.
And if they are, they're working.
They're
Now,
getting
the moment
ready
we've
for
said
work.
that,
right.
The moment we've said that, some people who have just gotten off work,
Right, third
who started
shifters
at
are,
4,
yeah.
they're going, hey, some of us are up. But, we really had to do a 5, 5:30, 6, 6:30, and then we were done. And now it not only goes 4:30, 5, 5:30, 6, 6:30. Then at 7 o'clock, it doesn't end, because then it just shifts over to Channel 45, where they go for 2 more hours.
Wow.
And boy, so anyway, getting back to television being it's a relentless series of deadlines. And it has changed a lot in 40 years.
I can only
tell you that.
imagine.
Now, speaking of things that are changing, the big, beautiful bill. And, when we say that, even on the news, we're not saying it because, we know it's big and we think it's beautiful. We do. This is the name of the bill.
Right.
Who named it, by the way?
President Trump is so good at marketing. Well, I think he made his minions in the House. Yeah, let's call it this. You're going to have a name for it. Anyway, it's the tax and spending bill. The reconciliation bill, whatever you want to call it. Big, beautiful bill, kind of like rolls off President Trump's tongue very easily. Well, it went through several changes in the U.S. Senate. So now the Senate bill and the House bill are different by a lot. The new bill, I think, according to the Congressional Budget Office, that Republicans like not to pay any attention to, says it will add $3.3 trillion to the deficit. The House version, the original one, I think they were saying that would add $2.4 trillion. So somehow in the Senate process, it's almost $1 trillion more that it could add to the debt through increased spending and no taxes on things like tips, overtime pay, and those kinds of things. And once the final version comes out, we have to look at the fine print on the tips and the overtime. There are some income caps, I think, on some of these things, especially for overtime. If you, like in my business, a lot of people, including me, we actually earn overtime because, again, the unpredictable nature of the business.
Right.
Otherwise, we could work.
You'd be there nonstop.
Yes, and there are actually labor laws that are invoked at that point. But so anyway, what I'm saying is it's gone back to the House now. There's a lot of fiscal conservatives who don't like the changes the Senate made. Many of them are in the Freedom Caucus, who are budget fiscal hawks, and they're all now going to these meetings at the White House, and President Trump is putting on the full court press, and we'll see what happens. They want to have, you know how the president is about marketing these things. He wants a big 4th of July extravaganza on the lawn of the White House, I'm certain, where he's going to sign in all these tax cuts for people. And what he's not going to dwell on so much is the hundreds of millions of dollars it could cost a state like Minnesota. Right now, the SNAP benefits, the supplemental nutrition, food stamps is what it used to be called. The state's going to have to pay for a lot of that now.
And we're already broke.
Government. And then Medicaid, they're going to make changes to who can get Medicaid, and they're going to be all these work and volunteer requirements. And guess who they're going to shift all that burden over is to the states. If you want to go apply for these benefits, it's going to be state workers who are now going to have to do this. And I mean, it could literally cost Minnesota, which is a smaller state in the grand scheme of things, hundreds of millions. Some states, Senator Klobuchar, who I interviewed a couple of weeks ago out in Washington, said it could cost a state like Pennsylvania well over $1 billion, maybe more, maybe more than $1 billion. And they're not going to talk about that so much. They're going to talk about you're going to keep all those tax cuts you got in 2017. There's going to be new tax cuts on overtime and tips that are going to benefit certain segments. But, none of this comes, there's no free lunch.
Right. Tan snaffle. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch.
No. Well, and I because I was talking to Josh earlier about the ripple effect that this could potentially have, both on the positive side and most likely on the negative side with what, kind of one of the things that you were just alluding to, because there's so many things that are still hinging upon just basic things like the interest rate. The Fed, whether they're going to cut as a result of this bill or not, all of those things are going to come into play based upon this one particular bill. And it can be quite daunting, the future and the outlook.
Well, and the Fed is, this bill will factor in, what impact it will have on the economy, but they're mostly looking at the tariff situation.
Right.
And I think President Trump just said, we put a lot of those tariffs on pause until July 9th. He stops and starts these things so much, and so now people, the stock market. Do you think
that's mostly a negotiating tactic? Is that why?
It is, but you can only do it so long before people go, well,
wait a minute.
Okay, he's threatened these things, and then he pulls back when he sees the stock market tank. Well, now that he's put them all on pause, the stock market has soared. It's actually been safe again to look at your 401k. But that is one big tariff move away from plummeting back down to earth. And so the Fed is looking at what impact those tariffs are going to have. And if he does actually go and implement a lot of those that were put on pause until July 9th, what's going to be the impact? Because there's a lot of people who still think it's going to have an impact on inflation. That the early inflation reports have not captured much of the potential inflation, but the subsequent ones are, because a lot of this, so many people stockpiled goods before the tariffs went into effect that it's not going to have an immediate effect. But when you want to restock, now you're going to start paying these tariffs. Right. And then that cost is passed along to consumers. And so the interplay between Ken Powell at the Fed and President Trump is fascinating, because the way it's set up, there's not a lot Trump can do about Powell. I think he's appointed to, a 10-year term?
Oh, yeah, he's not going anywhere.
And and that just irritates the president to no end. But you have to have some sort of a check and balance. Congress certainly isn't. The Supreme Court isn't. about the only thing left at this point, at least on this one area, is the Fed, where there is at least some autonomy. But how long that's going to last, who knows?
Oh, so you don't have a crystal ball? Is that what you're trying to say?
I have no crystal ball. But it is fascinating to watch. I was out there.
Yeah.
We were out there for when Governor Walz was before the House Oversight Committee. But while we were there, we did interviews with Senator Klobuchar and Congressman Emmer in their offices about the bill and about, here's two Minnesotans with completely opposite views of the same legislation. So we'll see how it all plays out, but we'll be watching that. We'll have an update on that on 5 Eyewitness News tonight as well, along with the Minnesota Department of Education situation.
And when can we find At Issue? Still Sunday?
At Issue, it'll be Sunday, but we usually record it late Friday afternoons, although the last several weeks we've done it live on Sundays because of breaking news events. We're always live when there's big breaking news that happens after Friday. Generally, in the old days, nothing used to happen after 5 o'clock on a Friday.
Or at the radio station, 2 o'clock on a Friday.
Right, exactly.
Now you get the Friday news dumps that happen a lot. And so, Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, Channel 5. Or if you're an early bird, 7 a.m. on Channel 45 as well.
I watch it every Sunday.
Tom, thanks for helping us out this week.
The two-party chairs, first time together since, a lot of these seismic events have happened. So
thanks for
whenever
filling
you
in.
want me on, you let me know, will you?
Oh,
I got
absolutely.
a lot of
We'll get you
views.
guys on to help them.
Hey, Rook, what do you think of that one?
Tom, thanks for helping us out, man. We appreciate
guys.
it.
Tom Hauser, Channel 5, the best in the business.
Where can I go get some fireworks, rookie?
Fireworksforever.com is the only place where you should go. I told you about them earlier. I want to tell you about them one more time because 4th of July is just around the corner. And if you don't have your supply set up, Fireworks Forever will help you. They've got locations in Somerset and they have locations in St. Croix Falls. Best thing to do is go to the website. You can find out where their locations are. You can find out how much stuff is. You can find out what type of stuff they have, and you can see it right now. Also, the great thing about Fireworks Forever, veteran owned since 1991. Jason's dad does a great job starting it now. Jason and his bride are working hard to provide you with the best 4th of July entertainment in a safe atmosphere. There's a QR code that you click on. It shows you what the actual pyrotech does, and it will, whether it blows up, whether it sparks, whether you can use it during the day, at night. Educate yourself, and you will have such a better experience, and that's what they're all about at Fireworks Forever. Go online to fireworksforever.com. They have all sorts of great stuff to make your fireworks display the envy of the neighborhood, but you're running out of time. And I don't care whether you want firecrackers, cannons, parachutes, rockets and missiles, or the old Roman candles. Use them properly so you don't have to take a visit to Paul's Prosthesis Palace. They have a great attitude. They have a great staff that will educate you, but they're not going to pull you in. You got to go to Somerset, and you need to go to St. Croix Falls. Fireworksforever.com. Happy 4th of July from fireworksforever.com.
Thank you, sir. Please do us a favor if you haven't done so already. Join the over 16,000 subscribers that we have right now on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. On that YouTube channel, by the way, you can watch the show each and every single day, and you can see full segments. There's video shorts, there's behind-the-scenes footage, but it's all there for you. Just search Garage Logic on YouTube, and search Garage Logic on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It ain't Valentine's Day. Fool.